It's the reptilians, but then there's the mantis too, right?
Right, and those are things, honestly, we've only discussed a part of my life. I've had experiences all the way from 3 years old on. And even after I was out of the program and I was just working in Florida, and I've seen the Delta or triangular craft like 3 times. And one of those times was with my daughter when we were coming back from her gymnastics class, just before I retired.
And what did that look like?
It was like the size of a 3-story home, but it was, pointed, and on the top it was kind of angular, kind of like what you see the F-117 look like, where it's angular. Mm-hmm. It kind of looked like that. It had pale grayish white lights on the underside, on the cardinal corners, and then in the back there was a flat panel that looked like a grill, where there was a light. There was like these stack of straight up lights, like fluorescent lights are, that would go to the right and then to the left.
And did it make noise?
Zero noise.
And it was just flying through the air?
Yep.
Fast? Slow?
It was going fairly slow. And then when it banked, it turned, and then that's when it sped up a little bit, and then I lost it in the trees. Then I saw it 2 other times. One time was going to work, and the other time was in 2022 when I reached out to some of the program folks that I used to know to tell them, hey, there's a space on the top secret JWIX computers that they're talking about UFOs. And I pointed them directly to this delta-shaped craft, because I was like, I know what this is, and I know what they know it is. So I was trying to let them know that you need to look at this imagery that we have our hands on. They ended up showing up with it. And they showed me flying in flight. They followed me home the next night, and it was right there above my car, and I'm looking kind of like...
So is this ours?
It's ours, yeah. It's a hybrid, or it's ours. I've always told people...
A hybrid meaning what?
Well, here it is. The whole thing is that in the 90s, I know they were on mission with me at Wright Pat, and we saw a delta-shaped craft. It had different nacelles at the time, or engines at the time. That's what a nacelle is. And then, so this new version looked very similar in shape. However, it had these glowing orbs that looked like they were part of the propulsion system. So they had upgraded part of it, and now it looked fully functional and operational, because back in the 90s it was not.
So this is the other thing that I keep hearing, is that we are in possession of technology that is many, many years ahead of anything that anybody could anticipate.
Correct. And when we get that, I call that exotic material, and or whatever you want to call it, but we get our hands on that, and about every 10 years we get a breakthrough on it, because we do study it, and sometimes somebody is smart enough to figure something out. And the next thing you know, we've got fiber optics, or
right.
We've got cell phones, and we've got transistors. Now we're nanotech. Where'd all this stuff come from? Is some of this part of this NHI presence, in that they've taken a patent that was developed inside the program, and now these people from Lockheed and Northrop are patenting this stuff and then making lots of money on the outside.
Other than the beings that we described, are there other ones that people have talked about?
Yes, I've actually, like I said, as a young adult, I probably encountered more of a spiritual sense, but they were Nordic looking, platinum hair kind of a look, blue eyes.
Like the tall whites, or different?
No, different.
How many documented different species have you heard of?
If I'm talking about my mission days, it's only that handful. And then if you're talking about other things that I've had other people tell me about, I think I've heard enough from enough people that I trust, that I think our concept of life in this universe is totally off. I think there are literally trillions of other life forms, and anything you can imagine is probably true.
That's an interesting thing, because one of the things that I wondered when we used to talk in the task force was, if this is we're the alpha species here on Earth. So what if what we're seeing is the alpha species from another planet? Think about what other critters and other things are running around. And maybe if we see something wild and crazy over here, what if it's somebody you know, who's got a dog like Psycho. You know, and all of a sudden, this, you know, something goes. You're like, what was that? You know, we just don't know. So you know, we can speculate and everything and build all these hypotheses up, but we're constantly looking to add to what we think is out there, so we
Yes.
can figure out going. Here's what we figured out. Here's what we haven't.
Now, is the conventional explanation that these things are from other planets, or is there speculation that they're interdimensional? Is there speculation that they live in the water?
Yes.
Is
All of that.
All that.
All the
Yes.
above. I would say that the way they appear and disappear is interdimensionalism. I've had other friends that have had encounters that have talked to me that they could see a larger craft, and then it turned, and all of a sudden there was a door opening and a creature coming out, and yet this other part of the craft seemed to be like a long way off. So it's like interdimensionally large. However, you know, when it turns, it's not like our four-dimensional world.
I've heard of a craft that you go inside of it, and it looks like a couple hundred feet on the outside. You go inside of it, and
Yes,
it's bigger than a
exactly.
football field.
Yeah, Doctor Who style.
Because it's
Yeah.
going into this other dimension, and there's actually more space to that. Yes, and that's what this
So-
guy was describing.
So we've all heard that too. The other thing too about the dimensional thing, because of the speeds that they're moving at, it could be that they're moving so fast it looks like they slipped into a dimension. Because sometimes you'll see these things go off into the sky and then do some weird whatever, and then they're gone. And then other times, what you're seeing is this thing is moving slowly, and then all of a sudden, it's gone, and you're like, did it just slip into another dimension, or is that they're
Is the
Good.
speed so fast that you can't